The next station is Taplow.
Cloudy, not bad. Pretty good.
Well, yes. They also asked checking the weather.
Oh, Sushi Diner Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, it's pretty cool. No wonder something different.
Yeah. No wonder it felt off. Definitely a school trip or something. So lucky.
주말봉사를 실시하고 있습니다. 여러분의 많은 협조 부탁드립니다.
Oh. Okay, my way would have been quicker then.
Oh, yes. I
Wow.
went down that way.
Yup.
I don't know, I was thinking like this area looks familiar.
Oh well, next time.
I wonder why is it 15 minutes?
We line up anywhere. Let's line up here.
Okay.
Let's buy some merch. look like a grandma. Let's go from here.
Automatically.
Nice. Ooh. Oh, sorry.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Aww.
Hmm? Oh. Oh my gosh. I want the hat. Oh.
What are you saying?
The blue.
こちらも今ね明るいんでちょっと暗くしていただいて。いいですね。可愛いです。
It's a projection. I think so. Nothing. Okay, hats. Oh, dude, those cheap peeps.
It feels very warm.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not wearing it.
Oh.
サンプルどうぞ。ありがとう。
ありがとう。
あ、じゃあ夜入り。It's freezing.
Thank you. I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
Are you going
Oh.
now?
I don't know. Ho ho ho.
It's still kid size.
Oh, bucks. Oh, oh, oh. Power buns. This is what we need.
Personalized?
It's for
What ingredient?
Super Nintendo World. So I was browsing through the shop and I found the Yoshi. This is a very weird looking Yoshi. This is probably Yoshi for the next Super Mario 3D game for the Nintendo Switch 2. You. What are you missing? What are you missing from the new Donkey Kong game? We have to go past Harry Potter.
Oh, okay. Oh, her friend was just slowly leading in.
Oh, Hello Kitty! Go, Hogger!
I feel very awkward taking video of Hello Kitty because she's posing with someone.
Yes.
I have no idea about composition, but I'm having fun.
Yes. Can I get a wahoo? Oh. Thirds is basically just like everything is divided evenly in thirds,
Yeah.
so it looks equal.
Yeah, as in I always have the grid on, but when I try to follow it, it just doesn't look good.
Oh,
So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
well, it's more like just a guide. So
Are those quails? Like the small birds?
I really don't know. I think
It's
so.
just very scary to see because they're so small. Compared to this,
Huh?
don't have the same dino.
Yeah, that's why I'm noticing that for the most part the park is similarly built, but this one is bigger. Like there's an Amity village here as well.
Oh.
Oh, oh, I want those cars. Okay.
The guy sounded so like he put on such an accent.
So will you say wahoo?
Oh my god, right in my ear.
You don't say it. Why aren't you saying it?
This reminds me of those things. One big picture of
I like trains. Oh, oh, boat. I forgot his name. Yeah, Snoopy. Japanese Elmo.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Give me wet. Make me wet.
I don't think my camera's weather will so.
My camera is waterproof. Who needs to go to the famous rock monument in the UK when you have this? I forgot the name.
Stonehenge.
Yeah.
You know, for the longest time I thought it was Stonehenge. Oh, this plant doesn't look real.
Hmm?
These trees don't look real.
Yeah. We're going into treacherous territory in order to get to Super Nintendo World.
After we're done with Nintendo World, we can go Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So we apparently can't be entered.
Yeah.
Oh,
Animal Crossing shirt.
oh,
I think we took the wrong turn.
is that supposed to be evil?
Yeah. There's the other side, it's through the trees. Can you get there from here? You can't? So we're just in Harry Potter now.
They just turn around then?
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Right, I got
Yeah, no, we don't need to come here anymore.